So what is faith? Now, we all know the definition in Hebrews 11 verse 1. But for you personally, in your own heart, what is faith? I asked a few publishers in our congregation this question. And they said it is absolute confidence and trust in Jehovah, that He knows them, that He will take care of them, and that He will fulfill every promise that He ever made. In 1883, the Watchtower quoted a little girl. When she was asked, what is faith? She said, trusting God and asking no questions. Now that's very interesting. It is not only a belief system, but it is asking no questions, taking action without questioning God. So there's more to faith than merely believing that He will do His part. It is what we do with our life in addition. We have men of faith, women of faith over the centuries. They went out and did what Jehovah God told them to do. If we look here in Hebrews chapter 11, there are many examples, excellent examples, of people who have lived their life in faith. Who of us do not know about Noah, a preacher of righteousness, building an ark, telling people their world is going to be destroyed? And what about Abraham? He left behind a safe, secure, wealthy environment to live in tents, not knowing exactly where he was going, but having faith in Jehovah. It made him do things that so-called practical people would never do. And do you remember the case of Joseph taking Mary and their little child to Egypt? They were poor people. How could they be assured of an existence and safety and security on the other side? So faith is much more than simply a belief system. Faith without works is dead. Now, can you imagine people living in faith? Take these examples of faith that we have just examined. Sarah, Daniel, Jeremiah, they were tested daily, either by other people or by themselves. By themselves, they often may have thought, well, what am I doing here? What is going to happen to me? What will the future bring? But they were willing to see their faith through to the end. And in the process, developed a tested faith. And this tested faith is such a precious possession. Why do we say that? Well, turn to 2 Peter chapter 1 and verse 1. Peter uses an interesting expression. He says, to those who have acquired a faith as precious as ours. He viewed it as a precious faith. And it was acquired. He was not born with it. It's something that had to be developed. How do we develop or acquire a faith of this kind? In verses 5 through 7, Peter gives us a very interesting sequence of qualities that we can add to our faith. Now, we know these words very well here. It says in verse 5, put forth all earnest effort to supply to your faith virtue, knowledge, self-control, endurance, godly devotion, brotherly affection, and love. Why did he put faith as the first? Because faith is a way of life. And these qualities are needed to have a successful life, to become true men and women of faith. Look at the qualities. The first one, virtue. What is virtue? It is Jehovah's standard of what is good. So when we live up to Jehovah's standard of what is good, then it shows that we have trust and confidence in His values. Secondly, knowledge. We need knowledge to cope with all the various challenges of life. Knowledge of what? Well, knowledge of God's laws and principles, and know how they apply in our life. But of course, we must have confidence in God's laws and principles. The next is self-control. It means we take a grip on ourselves, our emotions, our thoughts, our deeds or actions. But we can do so because we know Jehovah is in charge. Whatever challenges we face, we do not need to panic. We can control ourselves knowing that behind it all, Jehovah is in charge and He is directing us. The next is this matter of endurance. It means seeing our faith through to the end. We persevere to the end to see the end result. In the end, we know we will have completed faith. And next is godly devotion. We are devoted to God, or godliness. We worship and serve Jehovah Himself personally. It means that we need to see God, not physically, but we know that He exists and we have personal experience with Him. And next is brotherly affection. So we love those who love God. We love those whom God loves. Why? Because God selected them to His people, to be His people. And we do not question God's ability. And next is the final quality listed here is love. This is not just love for our brothers and our sisters, it's love for people in general. We want to extend to all people the opportunity to develop faith and come close to Jehovah Himself. We're not so wrapped up in our own little belief system that we cannot think of other people. So we can see that faith, this kind of faith spoken of in the Bible, is truly a well-rounded out faith. Now, Peter could speak about this, and he could understand the importance of seeing faith through to the end. He was with the other apostles in the boat when they saw Jesus walking on water. All the other apostles stayed in the boat. Peter got out and he walked on water. Okay, he did not walk through to the end. So he learned a lesson. The lesson was you have to see your faith through to the end. So we are willing to put our life on the line for Jehovah, contrary to human reasoning. But we do so in faith. And our faith is not weak like those of the rulers, who would not even get into the boat with Jesus, let alone walk on water.